Introductory lecture, Introduction to the Gastrointestinal System or module, which is called MEG 320. The learning objective, I always put what are the objectives of each lecture, to understand the general outline of the GI module, to do endoscopic journey, to go through all parts of the GI tract by endoscopy. النافور أو المنظار سامعين بها called endoscope. And number 3, to acknowledge the importance between normal structure and function. Normal structure and the function. There is consistency between them. And number 4, to discuss 2 clinical cases as example to see the link between basic sciences and the clinical sciences. Okay, so these are the objectives. The starting overview, a lot of progress occurs in clinical practice in the GI module or GI system in the last 2 to 3 decades. And there is now better understanding in the biology, microbiology, biochemistry, physiology of the GI system. Now, we are going to look at the diseases that affect the GI system from different points of view. And we have new insights about the pathophysiology of these diseases. And we will see it during discussion. And we are going to talk about diagnostic and therapeutic tools which has been advocated in the last 2 or 3 decades for the diagnosis of diseases of gastrointestinal tract. So let us start with endoscopy. We make a journey by endoscope, المنظار أو النافور through the GI. Now, the gastrointestinal tract, if we do endoscopy, we introduce the endoscope, المنظار, to the esophagus, the stomach, and the duodenum. We call it esophago-gastroduodenoscopy. Scopy, it means visualization. And then, if we do endoscopy of the small intestine, we call it enteroscope. Intestine, enteroscope. If we do endoscopy of the large intestine, colon, we call it colonoscopy. And if we do it for the sigmoid, we call it sigmoidoscopy. You know these anatomical parts from your anatomy. Right. If we do it for the bile duct, there is one important diagnostic tool, endoscopy, which is called endoscopic retrograde axis. Cholangiopancreatography، يعني بندخل النافور من الفم إلى الجدنم ونروح على البايل duct. Retrograde, بالعكس. Okay, so we call it endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, ERCP. Remember this word, very important, ERCP. It is both diagnostic and therapeutic. And I will give you how diagnosis as endoscope, therapeutic, if there is a stone in the bile duct, we can remove it by this endoscope. So it is both diagnostic and therapeutic, ERCP. And there is another one, diagnostic only called MRCP, magnetic resonance cholangiopancreatography. It is endoscope, but only for visualization, just to see the bile duct. So ERCP, diagnostic and therapeutic, while MRCP is only diagnostic. If we do endoscopy of the rectum, it's called rectoscopy. If we do it for the anus, it's called anoscopy. If both For the rectum and anus, we call it a proctoscopy. The endoscope has been invented 200 years ago, 1806, and then applied in 1906, 100 years later. Nowadays, since the 50s, 1957, it became fiber optic. You can see from the picture, the old endoscope was very solid, rod, iron, etc., very painful to the patient. But nowadays, it's a flexible endoscope, fiber optic, with camera and monitor, TV, everything, right? So you can visualize the area quite clearly. You can see the endoscope nowadays, how the patient is relaxed. Now let us take endoscopic and radiological anatomical journey through the gastrointestinal tract. Starting from the larynx. The larynx is part of the respiratory tract, but every doctor should be aware that the endoscope should not enter the larynx. Otherwise, you will have a problem. Larynx will go to the respiratory tract. You can see the larynx, the two vocal cords. You can see them quite clearly. But one should be aware that should not go to the respiratory tract. You know, the pharynx will be divided. Part will go to the esophagus, and part will go to the larynx and respiratory tract. Now, if you go to the esophagus, you can see this is the picture of the esophagus by endoscope. This is the picture of esophagus by radiology, by radio contrast. Okay? We put radio contrast مادة ملونة للأسوفاجس يشربها المريض called barium. Okay? So you can see the esophagus by X-ray. So you can compare the two parts of the esophagus by endoscopy and by radiology. So esophagus, as you know, is 25 centimeters in length. It has two sphincters, upper sphincter and lower sphincter, the esophagus. The upper sphincter is composed of striated muscles, but under involuntary control. مو زي striated muscle تبع الإيد والرجل, okay? Striated but under involuntary control. The lower sphincter composed of smooth muscle fibers, okay? Now, the upper esophageal sphincter, or called pharyngoesophageal, from the pharynx to the esophagus sphincter, surround the upper part of the esophagus. It consists of striated muscles, as I said. It is not under voluntary control, as I said that, and it opens this sphincter following swallowing. Swallowing واحد من يبلع. Swallowing معناتها البلع. Once the patient or the person starts to swallow, the upper esophageal sphincter will open. The lower esophageal sphincter, or called gastroesophageal. ليه gastro? لأنه lower part of the esophagus, which is connected to the stomach. So gastroesophageal sphincter surround the lower part of the esophagus, is the junction between the esophagus and the stomach. It is also called, another name for it is called cardiac sphincter, or called cardioesophageal sphincter. في تسمية قديمة بالطب هذه المنطقة يقول لك ضربني على قلبي. Okay? The cardiac area. Okay? It is near the heart. So cardiac sphincter or cardioesophageal sphincter. The lower esophageal sphincter is composed of a smooth muscle fiber under involuntary control, not under your control, and triggered to open during esophageal peristalsis. تعرفوا البلس يعني اللقمة تعمل esophageal peristalsis. This esophageal peristalsis will open the lower sphincter. Okay? So it is functional, anatomical, physiological, so multidisciplinary now. So dysfunction, sometimes there will be dysfunction of the gastroesophageal, the lower esophageal sphincter, causes a condition called reflux, ارتداد الطعام from the stomach to the esophagus, called what? Reflux. Now, and it causes heartburn, زي الحموضة. الواحد المريض يحس إنه في حموضة ارتداد. Okay? And if it happens frequently, it can cause a disease which is called gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD or GERD. And this will cause damage to the esophageal mucosa and other complications. Now we go to the stomach, and there are many parts in the stomach, and I would like just to remind you with your anatomy. The body of the stomach, this is the body of the stomach. This is the body of the stomach, the colored one, okay? This is the body of the stomach. The fundus, the upper part of the stomach, this is the fundus, okay? So you are going to deal with these points during your course. Somebody will come to you and say, body of the stomach, fundus of the stomach. So these are the areas. Anterior wall of the stomach, number 3, you can see this is the anterior wall of the stomach. This is the greater curvature, number 4. The lesser curvature, this is the lesser curvature. من الداخل, lesser. So greater curvature and lesser curvature. دكتور احنا ليش نتعلم هاي؟ The tumors which occur on the lesser curvature, generally speaking, different from the tumors, for example, that occurs on the greater curvature. Okay? From a prognostic point of view. And you will learn that in your pathology. You can see that there are areas in the stomach. You can see this is the cardia, number 6, زي ما حكينا قريبا من الخير, cardia. And there is here a sphincter, pyloric sphincter. صمام يفصل الستومك من الجيوجينم. Okay, so it is called pyloric sphincter. This is the area here. It's called the last area before the pylorus is called pyloric antrum, and then pyloric canal, and then pyloric sphincter. I repeat it again. Pyloric antrum, canal, pyloric canal, and then pyloric sphincter. Right? Everybody should know these areas, very important. For example, if I have ulcer in the stomach, peptic ulcer, usually, generally speaking, is common in the pylorus. Sometimes we get obstruction of the pyloric canal with certain diseases, sometimes congenital. So you have to know these areas. The stomach has got ruggy تعرجات داخل surface of the stomach to increase the surface area of the. And there is what is called angular incision. This is the area here. After the body, at the pylorus, the stomach, it gets curvature. This is called angular incisor. Now we come to the duodenum. The duodenum has different parts. This duodenum is the first part of the duodenum, and it has what is called a superior flexure. يعني انحناء أعلى. The start like that. This is the superior part, and then the second part, which is the descending part, and nasal, descending part, and then the third part, which is the horizontal part. Okay, and the last part, the fourth part, is the ascending part of the duodenum, and then the duodenum will join the jejunum. These are the different parts of the. There are two openings. The major duodenal papilla, which is called ampulla of Vater, and minor duodenal papilla, and I will talk about both of them in a moment. You can see here is the stomach, the gallbladder, and the common bile duct with the pancreatic duct join together and open at the ampulla of Vater, the major opening. Here, from this opening, the ERCP can enter through the ampulla of Vater. So this is the papilla, or called ampulla. Both names are correct. This is, you can see it here. This is the papilla of Vater, where the common bile duct and the pancreatic duct join together and open to the duodenum. Now, after the duodenum, we have the jejunum. You can see it by endoscope, how it has folds, okay, for absorption. You know that. And this is how it appears in X-ray. Lastly, it goes to the ileum, and then this is the terminal ileum, where it joins the cecum, which is part of the large bowel. And you can see it here, how the ileum comes and joins the cecum. This is the cecum, okay? يظهر المؤشر لو ما يظهر يظهر. Now the ileocecal valve. At the junction between the terminal ileum and the cecum, there is a valve also. We call it ileocecal valve. You can see it by endoscope, and you can see it here by X-ray. And the white color, as I said, is barium. Just it's called radio contrast للتلوين حتى نشوف الأشعة. The large bowel, you can see, as I said, this is the cecum, the ileocecal valve, and this is the terminal ileum, and then we will have the ascending colon, and then we have the transverse colon, then the descending colon. This is the sigmoid, rectum, and anus. And there are flexure in ina'at. This is the right colic, or hepatic flexure on the right side, and this is the left colic flexure, or splenic flexure. هذه التعرجات اللي تشوفوها الانحناءات, the curvatures at the large bowel called hostra. And you know this from your anatomy. The anus, this is the last part. Anus is considered as part of the GI tract, and this is by endoscopy how we can see. So let us talk about two clinical cases to see the importance of what I have said in a clinical practice. The first case, a 45-year-old man has difficulty in swallowing. Difficulty in swallowing. By the way, the lectures are modified to some extent, so they are different from the lectures or the PowerPoints of last year. So please don't depend on the previous slide for this lecture and the coming lectures, inshallah. So they are different. Minor modification usually occurs annually each year, which will make them different. So difficulty of swallowing, in the terms of medical terms, it's called dysphagia. So what's the meaning of dysphagia? Difficulty of swallowing. And of increasing severity. This dysphagia is becoming worse with the patient over the past year. بالسنة الأخيرة بدأت تزيد عليه. He has recently lost 3 kilograms. Why lost 3 kilograms? يعني عنده difficulty of swallowing. ما يقدر ياكل. أي واحد ما يقدر ياكل راح ينقص وزنه، صح؟ Upper endoscopy is normal in the first part of the esophagus, except for some resistance to the passage of endoscope at the esophageal-gastric junction at the lower sphincter. يعني الاندوسكوب من ندخله بالlower part of the esophagus where the sphincter is present. احنا ليش حكينا بالبداية الاناتومي؟ حتى نعرف هذه الامور. There is resistance, مقاومة for entering of the endoscope. So the question, what do you think is going on? شو صاير عند هذا المريض؟ Okay? You can answer yes.
Achalasia?
Okay. Let us discuss it. The diagnosis is called esophageal achalasia. Achalasia are of different parts. This type of achalasia, it consists of 3 things. Lack of peristalsis. احنا حكينا البولس تدخل وتعبر اللور esophageal sphincter by peristalsis أو صار الأسوفاجس. So lack of peristalsis, high pressure at the lower esophageal sphincter ونقدر نقيسها بجهاز معين راح أتكلم عليه, and incomplete relaxation of the lower esophageal sphincter on swallowing or following the swallowing. Then 3 things happen. What is the diagnostic maneuver? كيف نعرف أنه there is high pressure at the lower esophageal sphincter? By manometry, which is diagnostic procedure. Now, what is manometry? We will talk about it in a moment. So let us start by the question, what is achalasia? Achalasia is the failure of the smooth muscle fiber to relax. The lower esophageal sphincter حكينا ايه؟ smooth muscles, صح? Which can cause the lower esophageal sphincter to remain what? Closed, ما يفتح, and fail to open when needed. So this is called what? Esophageal achalasia. Achalasia is characterized by difficulty of swallowing, which is called dysphagia, regurgitation. شو هي regurgitation? ارتداد الطعام. Regurgitation and sometimes chest pain. مريض يجي لك يقول لك دكتور أنا يوجعني صدري من هذا. Okay? Diagnosis can be reached by manometry, which is called esophageal manometry. جهاز يقيس البريشر والبريستالسيس تبع الأسوفاجس. And also we can use volume swallow radiographic study. يعني بالأشعة نقدر نشوف الأسوفاجس ونقدر نشوف السفنكتر ما يفتح closed وراح نشوف صورة. The treatment, how we treat such a case, by calcium channel blocker, which makes smooth muscle to relax. وعارفيها بالفارماكولوجي calcium channel blocker. Botox, botulinum toxin, which can paralyze the nerve supply of the area so it will relax. But more permanent treatment, هسه تعرفون زمن البالون والستنت esophageal بالون يفتح المنطقة. And it causes esophageal balloon dilatation. And also there is another way, surgically, we can cut the muscle, and this is called Heller myotomy. Heller myotomy. Heller essentials. Heller myotomy. These are the different types of treatment for the achalasia. But the most common nowadays is the balloon esophageal dilatation. You can see how we diagnose it by barium swallow. It is called barium swallow, and المريض يشرب الباريوم. So you can see the appearance here at the end. The esophagus is very narrow, and it's called bird peak, زي منقار الطير. Bird's peak. Okay, appearance, and the esophagus لأن راح يمتلئ بالأكل ما ينزل للستومك. It is called mega esophagus. شوف, it became very dilated, full of food. This is very severe case, of course. And this is the manometry. She has schematic manometry showing the epistaxis, no peristalsis, and increased intraesophageal pressure and failure to relax. هذا هو الرسم البياني. طبعا لا يكون في تفاصيل هاي بعدين ان شاء الله واحد يتخصص بالجي اي يتعلم. بس يجب ان تعرف انه we can diagnose it by barium swallow and manometry, esophageal manometry. Dysphagia, let us talk about dysphagia. I have said that we have different types. Dysphagia, it means difficulty of swallowing. There are other two terms also going parallel with it. One of them is called odynophagia. What is odynophagia? It is painful swallowing. المريض يطلع يحس pain شديد. الديسفاجيا difficulty in swallowing. الأودينوفاجيا painful in swallowing. واحد مثلا يصير عنده candida infection of the esophagus, candida عارفين شو الcandida, will suffer from odynophagia. And we will have this point later on in our lectures. And globus, a sensation of a lump in the throat. يجي المريض يقول لك أنا بحس باللقمة بحلمي. هذا شعور. It's called globus. So we have three terms: dysphagia, odynophagia, and globus. Dysphagia can be classified into three types. The first type, oropharyngeal, upper, then esophageal, and the third one, functional dysphagia. المريض, no organic cause, functional, maybe psychological. Okay? Case number 2, I hope case number 1 is clear to you. Case number 2, a 53-year-old obese woman. Look at the word, obese woman, presented with a 4-day history of right upper quadrant pain. Abdomen can be divided, as you can see in the picture, into 4 quadrants. 2 uppers, 2 lower. Right, left. Okay? So at this area where the arrow is present here, is called right upper quadrant. Quadrant معناتها الربع. ربعين أعلى ربعين أسفل. Right there. Okay? So at the right upper quadrant pain associated with nausea, العيان, and jaundice, صفار. صفار الجسم والعيون. Now the patient also reports dark tea-colored urine. مهمة هذه. معناتها البيليروبين filtered from the urine. معناتها البيليروبين, the direct bilirubin, which is water soluble, will be increased in the blood and filtered by the kidney, and the urine become dark tea color. Okay? And the stool became pale. In the bilirubin, مدى يدخل الانتستine, there is a block in the common bile duct, okay? So the stool becomes pale. No bilirubin. So what is the most likely diagnosis? The pathophysiology of biliary pain and jaundice. Biliary pain is due to obstruction of the bile duct, especially the common bile duct. CBD, common bile duct. The pain is constant, ثابت, not colic, مو زي المغص. يعني احنا كيف نعرف؟ It is constant, not colic. يعني سرينا الكوليك يصير حصوة باليوريثر colic. Jaundice is associated with dark urine, and it is called bilirubinuria. Bilirubinuria. يعني البيليروبين filtered with the urine. The stool mostly became pale and secondary to the obstruction of the flow of bile. The direct conjugated bilirubin, you know, the bilirubin from your physiology and biochemistry is conjugated and unconjugated. The conjugated is called direct. The unconjugated is called indirect. I know. Okay. So the conjugated bilirubin increased in the blood. It is water soluble, so it will be filtered through the kidneys and go with the urine, and the urine becomes tea color, زي لون الشاي. Okay? Diagnosis: كوليدوكوليليثياسيس. شو معناته كوليدوكوليليثياسيس؟ هذا التعبير لازم تعرفوه. معناته stone impacted in the common bile duct. كوليدوكوليليثياسيس. Treatment: نعمل diagnosis نعمل treatment. التريتمنت شو؟ ERCP to extract the stone. صح؟ حكينا بالبداية شوية ERCP. And then we do cholecystectomy. Not through ERCP, but through other procedures, just to prevent recurrence of the condition, because the gallbladder may contain many stones that can enter again into the common bile. So you can see the picture. This is the ampulla of Vater, and this is the common bile duct. This is the pancreatic duct. And this is the normal ERCP. هذا هو الجهاز بيخش ويشوفنا الكومن بايل duct، ونشوف هون هذا الجهاز نفسه، هذا الجallbladder، هذا الأوبستراكشن هون، هذه أرض. Okay? And this is the stone in the common bile duct, which should be extracted, removed by the ERCP. Any question? I hope this lecture has put to you some information that will be useful to you, inshallah, during your
course of the GI system. Any question? Please read this lecture, because this lecture will be included in your examination. Okay? See you next lecture.